Hi guys, calling from Walking the Resonant Path here. I just wanted to give you a book review on a book I've just finished reading called Spirit Junkie by Gabrielle Bernstein. I'll do what I always do. I'll read the blurb, then tell you what I thought of it. Before she became a celebrated teacher and lecturer, Gabrielle Bernstein was going down a dangerous path. For years, Bernstein struggled with eating disorders, drug and alcohol abuse, and constant self-doubt and self-loathing. There you see trigger warnings, by the way. That all changed when she discovered A Course in Miracles, which taught her that much of what she feared in life was not frightening at all, and in many cases not even real. Now Bernstein lives in an empowered, healthy, and joyful life. In Spirit Junkie, Bernstein guides readers through the life-changing lessons that shaped her spiritual journey, how we become accustomed to fearful ways of thinking, and how to recognize and change those thought patterns to make way for bliss, and how to maintain our happiness and share it with the world. By understanding and changing our perceptions, hang-ups will melt away, resentments will be released, and childlike faith and joy will be reignited. So, as I said, there are trigger warnings about alcohol use, drug use, eating disorders, but there's also another one that I want to mention that's really important. Now, chapter 8 mentions a man, or is all about, the whole chapter is all about a man that used to refer to himself as, or still refers to himself as John of God. And in the book, which was written in 2011, Gabrielle speaks about him as a healer, and it later came out in 2018 that he was actually committed hundreds and hundreds of heinous crimes against women. It was reported to be about 600 in some cases, and he was sentenced to more than 400 years in prison. Now, Gabrielle later came out and said she did not know any of this, of course, because his crimes didn't come out till 7 years after this book was written, and when she found out, of course, she disavowed him and his teachings. But just be warned that because this book was written way before that was found out, he's written about it positively in this book and is about an inspiration and a help to her. And, she wrote about her experiences with him, which were all sort of positive, but we know now he has committed hundreds of heinous crimes against women. He is not a good man, and he should not be seen as an inspiration to anyone. So some readers of this book might want to skip chapter 8, because chapter 8 is where he's written all about. And she also thanks him in the acknowledgements, so you might want to just skip that as well. Now, I could relate. Now, also, I wanted you to know that I'm not throwing shade on anybody that believes in certain things that I don't believe in, or, as I said, on this channel, we believe in whatever resonates within our soul. But to talk about this book, I have to talk about the ideas in the book, otherwise I can't talk about what I thought about the book. I don't necessarily agree with all the ideas. I agree with a lot of them, but some I totally don't agree with. So please don't think I'm throwing any shade on you if you agree with it all, or if you don't agree with the bits I agree with and stuff like that. No shade on anybody. But this is just, I have to say what bits resonate with me and which don't. So then I have to talk about those things. Now, I could relate to Gabrielle's description of living with the fear and anxiety and how that can shape your whole life and behaviour. Because, I have an anxiety disorder, or I've been working on it and I'm a lot better with it now. I also like meditation is presented as something that's generally helpful, because I find meditation very helpful. For the most part, I like that this book is positive and rooted in love. That said, in places I did feel like it fell into toxic positivity, and in some places even felt like she was victim blaming. I disagreed with the idea that if we think badly of people who treat us horribly, then the issue is somehow about us rather than them. I think some people are just, generally not nice people, and it's nothing to do with us, it's very much to do with them. Yes, perception matters, and we can choose how we respond, but I don't believe that nasty people should automatically be reframed as simply hurt people, because I don't really have that idea. I do not subscribe to that hurt people as a truth. Plenty of people hurt people. I know plenty of people who've been really, really hurt in their life. I know who have never hurt anyone. Sometimes that kind of thing makes me feel like it's excusing bullying or cruelty or harmful behaviour, and sometimes suggesting we draw bad things to ourselves, and I don't actually believe that we do. And I believe it's about how we respond to things that matters more, and I do believe there are some people who are just unkind, has no reflection on us at all. I do agree with the idea that we're all equal and special in our own way, and I also agree that putting people on pedestals and looking down on them are both damaging to ourselves and to others, so we all need to be seen as equal. I enjoyed the discussion of the intuition, the ing, that little voice inside of us, and about how to learn to distinguish that from the ego. I also like the idea of creating a connection with the divine that is of our own understanding and not something that we have to get from other people or other religions. And you all know all about that. Um, where the book really lost me was around the idea of forgiveness. Because not that I don't agree with forgiveness, sure, forgive people, but I don't agree with forgiving people who are not sorry and who have not changed their behaviour. To me, forgiveness is a reciprocal thing. Someone has to actually recognise what they did, take responsibility and apologise and show real change. Without out that, it's not forgiveness. I mean, this may be semantics, but I don't think you can I don't think you call it forgiveness. What I think you call it is just letting go of all the anger and the resentment. But that's not forgiveness, because forgiveness is a reciprocal. Somebody has to do something first, then you can forgive. Forgiveness is a reciprocal action. So the people have to, change behaviour and apologise first, then you can forgive. But you can let go of all the resentment and nastiness. Because what I do is I just, put up healthy boundaries and just, not let that person back into my life because they're toxic or they haven't changed their behaviour and they're going to continue to be toxic. So I just put that. But I send them love still. I don't have any anger at them or anything. I just go along with my life and I just pretend they're not there, and I don't have anger or nastiness. I never wish anything bad on them. But I just keep them out of my life and keep going. But I don't call that forgiveness. I just call it me letting go. Because for me to forgive them, they would have to be sorry. I would have to see a change in their behaviour, and then I'll forgive. But letting it go, sure, I can let it go. That's not a problem. I think people should let it go, because if you hold on to it, I agree, it's not good for you if you hold on to it and it makes you sick and uncomfortable. So don't hold on to it. But nor do you have to let them back into your life and let everything be okay. Because sometimes I think that that's making an excuse for them. If you just let them back into your life, or even if you say, what they did, it doesn't worry you or whatever, that's not a right way. I don't think that's that's not that right way for me. Not if you think that. I'm happy for you to think that, and I think you're a wonderful person if you can just let everything go and forgive everything and have everything is wonderful. That's good for you, but it's just not the way I think. And I'm a very big believer in taking responsibility for your actions and in justice. Not in revenge, I don't like revenge, but in justice and in real justice and in karma and things like that in this life or the next. But you are not the instigator of karma. The universe is. You don't do anything, because that's revenge. But I believe in justice, and I also believe in putting up healthy boundaries and things. But, I call it letting go. Maybe it's just semantics, but to me, forgiveness is reciprocal action. So, and the thing is, in my house, sorry meant something. You had to explain what you did, why it was wrong, show that you understood and would not repeat it. We also knew that if we chose an action, we also chose the consequences. So I'm a big believer, as I said, in accountability, responsibility, justice, karma, not revenge. And so this whole part of the book didn't really resonate with me. I also strongly disagreed with the idea that, as I said, if you see someone doing nasty and being nasty and doing something harmful, it means you're that way too. It's a reflection of how you are inside, which is, to me, no, I don't agree with that. I think that's kind of ridiculous. If you do, that's fine, but to me, it just doesn't really resonate. Because to me, refusing to see unpleasant truths in situations and people can actually make you vulnerable and put you in a lot more danger. So it didn't really gel. That said, I'm not throwing shade at people, as I said, who believe these ways. I'm only saying why this part of the book didn't resonate. If forgiving people who are not sorry works for you, if you think that what you send out is a mirror of what you see, then that's good. I want you to believe what you believe, and I hope that it resonates with your soul. Then keep believing it, please. When I read books like this, I do try to stay open-minded. I sit with what I've read and I ask myself whether it resonates or not. I'm always open to changing my views if I think someone says something that feels truer than the belief I held before. And I like books that made me think, and this book made me think, so I like that. I like Gabrielle's reminder that there's an inner cheerleader inside of us, one who's in our corner, if only we stop drowning that voice out with fear and ego. I don't agree with her idea that all problems and illnesses in your life are created in your mind. To me, that's also some victim blaming going on there. I did agree with paying attention to signs and synchronicities, and I do believe the universe does send us guideposts if we're open enough to notice them. I also agree about having a lot of stillness, space, and time to hear ourselves. I like when she talks about writing and letting it flow through you. I like when she talks about the sisterhood and seeing other women's support and not competition. The toxic positivity came a bit much for me in times, especially when she said, "I have no cares, no worries, no anxieties. I'm perfectly calm and quiet all the time." That kind of felt a little bit unrealistic and unhelpful, but maybe it's true for her. But then later on, she actually contradicted herself and said she had worries and fears about new relationships, and that sometimes she gets angry about things but she just can release it, later on. I agree with the idea of respecting miracles and noticing them all around us, and I agree that we all have an amazing, unique light inside of us that we need to shine onto the universe. I don't agree with the part that God works in mysterious ways, because I find that as an excuse, and that's not how I see my gods and goddesses. I see them more as like superheroes who can help sometimes and they can't help other times. I don't see an omnipotent person who has this preordained plan, but if she does, that's cool. Everybody's different, but I just can't get on board with an omnipotent God who can control everything, who would let heinous things happen to children and women and things like that, and this is all part of a preordained plan. I just can't get on board with that, but if you can, that's cool for you. And, if you can find a way to equate it with these things, then I'm happy for you. I also felt she sometimes equates standing up for yourself with attacking others or being defensive. I don't agree with that. I believe you can stand up for yourself firmly without attacking anyone and just put healthy boundaries in place to keep harmful people out of your life. Overall, I did like how positive and uplifting the tone of the book was. I liked how she focused on love, joy, gratitude, intuition, and how choosing how we respond to things in life. I even like the idea of choosing joy up to the point until it starts denying the full range of human emotions, as I believe all emotions are valid if we use them to motivate growth and channel them in non-harmful ways. I also like Gabrielle in general and watch her on YouTube. I like her enthusiasm and positivity, even though I don't agree with all her ideas. A lot of material in this book can be found for free on YouTube, though the book does go more into her personal journey and gives us more detail about how to, listen to your intuition. I found it an okay read. Some parts really resonated with me, some didn't. So I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 cauldrons.